Very good morning, everyone. My name is Param. Good to see Elaine, Nisa, as well as Marzuki on the stage. I think the topic today that we are looking to speak about is about decoding alternative funding, a viable option for Malaysian startups. How this alternative space came about was because there was a huge gap for funding for SMEs and startups in Malaysia. Securities Commission took the first step in 2014, 2015 to come up with the guidelines for first ECF. And then 2016, they came up with the guidelines for P2P funding. And I think since then, you have actually seen a very steady growth for both the P2P funding and as well the ECF space. I think just last year, the P2P funding as well as the ECF space was total, I think deal count was about 1.7 billion ringgit. So you have consistently seen the space going up. Why is it going up? Because there's a gap to address, right? So let's kick this up. I would like to ask Elaine, with Atta. So how have you seen the market building over the several years and how your experience has been? And what gap are you actually trying to address that the conventional market is not availing sufficient funding for the people that you are addressing for?
Okay, thank you, Pramjit. Assalamualaikum, good morning, everyone. Okay, first and foremost, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me and the panelists here today. So I just want to, add on to what you're saying about the statistics. Actually, there's a lot more than that. So to date, specific to ECF, in the industry, from all the 10 platforms, we have funded over 500 million ringgit to over, I believe, more than 300 companies, and for P2P is over 3 billion now. Okay.
Just specifically for last year.
Okay, so last year, but I just want to give everybody an overview. So, so for ECF, the approval was given by Securities Commission middle of 2015. Operators, majority of the operators started operating, and that was initially 6 of us. 2016 onwards, okay, and to date there's 10 operators. It was quite slow at the beginning, yeah, because when we started in 2015, 2016, most of the businesses were generally tech startup companies, okay? So over the years, I think if you look at it, it's becoming more mainstream now. So you're looking at more traditional businesses, but of course when you talk about traditional businesses, they are tech-enabled now, yeah? If you're not tech-enabled, then there's something not right with you, okay? So that's very clearly seen over the years, and of course you're seeing a lot of companies benefiting from this. And if you talk about the gap, yeah, initially, I think for a lot of SMEs, it was too small an amount because when we first started, the maximum amount that you can raise via ECF was only up to 5 million. And today, it is up to 20 million ringgit. So, and also because of that, you're seeing much more matured businesses, coming into the fore. And a lot of them feel that rather than raising public funds through, say, LEAP, and with the cost of fund being much more expensive, they would rather go through equity crowdfunding platform. I just want to stop there so that I can let the rest of my colleagues take on.
Yeah, of course. I would like to hear what Nisa has to say as well. I mean, with regards to the industry growing and what is Pichin actually seeing, what's coming through the pipe, is it the same? Is it traditional businesses or is it startups? And probably you can start from there.
Thanks, Paramjit, for that question. I think just to kind of go back also in time in 2015. In 2015, I was actually in a VC at that time when ECF was just coming about. And because it was such a new instrument, new type of funding, there was not much awareness on that. And at that time, there was that misconception or that idea that, oh, you only go to ECF if you cannot get funding from VCs. That was that kind of sentiment at that time. And so, fast forwarding to today is a very different sort of landscape already, because now we're seeing deals with VCs in them. even at the start. So they're also already co-investing in the deals that are currently on the platform. So now we're seeing participation side by side, VCs together with the crowd, which already shows that the evolution of the industry and the acceptance of ECF in the mainstream space. And there's still a lot of work to do, right? So if you're looking at it, about 500 million is a drop in the ocean of what is the potential for alternative funding. In terms of the types of companies that are coming onto Pitchin ourselves, we see a whole gamut of different types of industry, just like Aileen has mentioned, tech as well as non-tech, which is very encouraging because that was the whole ethos and also the reason why SC did even want to have this space, right? Is because we want to actually accelerate not just for the startups, but also SMEs. And that's what we're seeing. And again, with the 20 million cap, and it's already brought on different types of companies. And so, yeah, so that's encouraging. And for Pitchin ourselves, I think the next evolution of what we are seeing, you'll be seeing that in our secondary market that we're going to launch, because it's been a number of years already, and of course, retail investors or any investors are asking, how do I exit? How do I exit? And so what we are working on, very, very hard, something that has been in the pipeline for some time, even though we have gotten the approval for over a year, is the launch of the secondary market, which we will be happy to announce very, very soon.
So the ECF guys will now have a stock exchange of its own.
Correct, exactly. So just like think of it like a mini Bursa. It's like a listing for private markets.
I think coming to Marzuki, I think he's the only guy here from the P2P lending side of things, and probably one of the newer ones in town, right? So I think generally the debt space tend to be a lot larger than equity. I think that has always been the situation, even in the public markets between the bonds and equity side of things. So maybe you can share with me, how has your growth been and how the productization for your products have helped startups or SMEs, and what's your focus space that you are looking at?
Okay, first of all, the landscape of alternative funding has already evolved, basically. So when we first started off, we are the second batch of regulators, P2P, in 2019. When we first started off, when we introduced our first investment note of 10,000 ringgit, it took us over 35 days to fill up. So today, 500,000 note to a 1,000,000 note would take as fast as 3 days to fill up. So that's how much we have grown in terms of being a P2P platform. And to answer your question on what type of industry, right? That we want to onboard onto our platform. We are sector agnostic, so we accept all types of industries. But because we are Sharia compliant, of course, they have to be halal. They don't sell, alcohol or do gambling. But basically, we accept all these types of industries. It depends, but again, not like ECF, we are more of a debt financing instrument. So basically, we just take up, it's for businesses that's looking for a loan or business loan. So we have two types of loans that you can apply for onto our platform. One is our microfinancing or term financing, and the other one is invoice financing. So that's what we're offering right now.
I think I would just like to continue with you, Marzuki, right? I think when the P2P financing guys came about, there was a conversation, even when I was in a bank, that there will be a competition between the P2P guys as well as the banks. So has there been any competition? Because from what I observed, there's actually none. You're trying to solve a problem that the banks are not doing. So has that continued to be the issue? While the banks are now also trying to go into your space by actually doing smaller check size. So, I mean, okay. What do you think?
Good question, Paramjit. First of all, the way we look at it, the pie is big enough for everyone. So we are, just recently we were at a iTekat program, event. And basically, a lot of these banks, the buzzword right now is they want to collaborate with with those who have the solutions ready. So we are one of them. So I can't say much now, but we're already speaking to several banks who wants to outsource their microfinancing side, or even for us to digitize the social financing solutions for them. So having said that, also banks, like you said, they are sort of a competition, but the way I look at it is like if you are looking at a food court, right? You go to a food court, there's all sorts of makanan, like we are the nasi lemak, they are the steaks, right? But everyone gets something, part of the pie. So that's all I can say about that.
I think, Elaine, I would like to understand something, right? So maybe you can walk us through for the benefit of everyone here, right? So when a startup or a business wants to come on board to raise money from Atta Plus or from Pichin, what's the typical process? What's the timelines? What is the fruit for success? What's the fruits for failure? And why do people succeed and why do people fail on the platform for raising money? It would be a good point for everyone to know.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, before you even consider equity crowdfunding, you need to understand your fundraising strategies. Why are you actually going on ECF? When we first started years ago, I think Anissa alluded to this, a lot of, especially startups, right? They try to raise funds from everywhere else, and then if there's nothing else, no other options, okay, we go ECF. So they think by listing on ECF, once you get through the due diligence process, you get listed and suddenly the money appears from nowhere. So it doesn't happen that way, okay, guys? Fundraising is very, very hard. Now, the reason why you would want to go onto a crowdfunding platform because you want to fundraise from the public in a legal way, okay? On a platform with a partner, all right, that is actually approved and regulated by the Securities Commission. So when you talk about your fundraising strategy, so with ECF, you can start whether it's from the early stage, whether, you're even pre-IPO at the startup stage. So it really depends on your strategy. Okay, that's one. And secondly, some companies use ECF not because they want to fundraise, but because they want to put their brand out there. It's more of marketing, yeah? You want to raise a little bit, but you want to market because brand visibility, you want to acquire new acquisitions, you want to be visible to potential future investors, or even to look for a strategic partner. So we have had quite a number of successes in that front. So as per the process, okay, documentation, very, very important, okay? So internally, our process can be swift, but what we've observed in the last, since 2016, is that companies have problems with, number one, financial projections. Number two, the latest audit report. Okay, if your audit report is not in order, you can't proceed, I mean, we can process, but you can't be listed until you get your audit report to us. Okay, even a first draft, fine, but eventually you need the actually latest audit. And your latest audit cannot be 2-3 years ago audit. Okay, yeah. Management accounts as well, right? So a lot of people also ask us this, right? What if we are a startup less than 1 year old? Yes, you can. You can fundraise less than 1 year old. Your latest audit account need to be certified. Okay. Especially if you want to fundraise more than 500,000 ringgit, all right? So it need to be, you need to do a special audit on that. Now, all that done, okay, so you need to engage with your community because what we're seeing is that if you do not have like cornerstone investors or if you go online or go live with zero fundraise, it doesn't give a lot of confidence to the crowd, okay? So having cornerstones helps a lot, yeah? And the commitment to fundraising is so important. We have had scenarios whereby the campaign is listed and the founders or promoters, they don't do anything. They just leave everything to the platform. And yes, we do some marketing, promotion, PR, but you must remember also that we do it for everyone. We got other issuers or campaigns that we need to push. Yeah, as a promoter, as a founder, you must actually work day and night on top of trying to run your company to meet investors, right? So maximize your community, the outreach. It's not just friends and family, your customers, your suppliers, your employees. These are all possible investors, all right? The other thing I want to say is that, of course, the deck, how you tell your story, and the storytelling, very, very important, right? Sometimes the CEO may not be the best storyteller, okay? So whether it's a CMO, somebody who can sell ice to the Eskimo, okay? So that's number one. Number two, how you structure your terms of offer. Okay, in ECF, there's 3 categories of investors, right? Retail, sophisticated, angels. Now for retail investors, the maximum amount that they can invest is 5,000 ringgit. So if your minimum entry to your investment, right, is more than 5,000, you totally eliminate the retail already, right? Sometimes it's a strategy, okay? So we can go very small. So let me ask you, what do you think is the smallest amount of investment in Malaysia to date? Just give a guess. How much? 100. Anyone else? 50. Anyone else? Cannot lah, cannot pass my payment gateway also, 1 ringgit. What lah you? Okay. So it's actually 10 ringgit. Okay, so that particular company decided to offer by per share. Okay, 1 share was 10 ringgit. But of course, most companies don't do that. They actually block their shares. So it's also a strategy because you want to make it as inclusive as possible, giving everybody opportunities to invest, right? And quite a number of companies also, if they have products, they actually bundle it with rewards, right? Whether you're selling, I don't know, whether books or properties or even cosmetics, you can actually do that. So there's different strategies, to ensure that your crowdfunding is a success.
Okay, Nisa, I want to get from you a different perspective. So what do investors on pitching platform actually look at when looking at a campaign that's being run on ECF?
I don't think it's very much different than if, let's say, an institutional investor or someone looking for, right? Because at the end of the day, they always ask, what's the expected return? What's my ROI on this potential investment? It's also how they also would want to look at a particular campaign. So at the number 1 question is always, what's my ROI? Number 2 is, how can I exit also? Those are the 2 things. But one thing is actually very unique to ECF, and I've not seen this in other types of investments, are these things known as pre-life incentives. So these incentives are offerings that a company can top up, or it's just like a little sweetener for the campaign, right? And for example, if you are a product-based company, you can offer things like fruits and nuts. So we have a campaign right now, it's called Delivic, and what they do is that they offer, they sell fruits and nuts. So if you buy a block of shares, not only are you getting shares, but you can also get fruits and nuts. Yeah. So, these are the little things that people also appreciate. They may sound small, but Malaysians being Malaysians is like, I want something free. What is it that I can get? So I know that one of the events that we went to, Elaine also was saying that one of your issuers, they were giving out durians, right? Yeah, so a durian plantation company that listed were offering free durians for their investors. So these are things like that. Although those are not the main priority, at the end of the day, they're still asking for what's my expected return. Of course, they will also need to understand whether it's different types of shares. If it's ordinary, then they kind of have to hold on, wait for some capital gain. Perhaps they're looking at dividends. If it's a preference share, then they'll consider whether it is redeemable preference shares. What is the rate that's on that amount, so that the investment, is it 8%? Yeah, so they'll look at the schedule, things like that. I mean, at the end of the day also, they'll still be evaluating on the company, the potential of the company, the founders, the industry, and is whether they really believe in what that story, the product, the idea that the founders are selling.
I think Marzuki, for you, right? How have conventional banks in Malaysia reacted to the rise of alternative finance? And I think specifically some instances that you have taken to actually differentiate yourself. Any specific instances or examples of initiatives? I know you can't mention names, but maybe some initiatives that you have taken to really differentiate yourself to actually attract even them to participate with you.
Okay, first of all, banks have now embraced digitalization and are similarly more agile in the micro SME space as of late. However, traditional banks right now still hesitate to take up micro loans, right, lower loans. So that's where we come in. Again, like I mentioned in ITCAT, that's one example where we met with several banks. And we have an upcoming collaboration with BPMB where they outsource, basically they allocated 10 million ringgit to fund their agri-tech farmers, which they outsourced to us to manage. So what we learned is like all parties agreed that it's much easier and cheaper to collaborate rather than basically do it on their own. So I feel that why reinvent the wheel when you've got ready solutions like us? So that's why it's easier to collaborate. So even banks agrees with this, and then they can focus on larger ticket sizes as what they're used to. Because the difference in fees between larger ticket items to lower loans are just the same. So it's cheaper to outsource to us. So, yeah.
I want to challenge you a bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of the ECF guys today are charging 12, 15, 18% rates.
Yes.
Versus the banks, of course, 6 to 10% sort of rates, right? Then you also got the equity crowdfunding guys offering pref shares as an option with yields of 6 to 8%. So question to you is that how do you remain competitive? And how does it optically then attract more people to come on board to run campaigns with MicroLeap or any other P2P financing platforms? And what actually makes you able to attract that kind of first investor base as well as the businesses willing to list on your platform?
Okay, what really works for us is our value adds. One is, most micro businesses, they are cash business, and it's very hard to provide P&L statements or financial statements or your balance sheet. So on our platform, we provide a template. So basically, you are converting Buku 555 to Excel. So an issuer can apply, can download the template on our platform, get it, fill up whatever details, the figures, get it stamped and signed, and just upload it to us. So that's what we're creating is convenience, So that's one. Number two is we are more flexible in terms of assessment. So for traditional banks, it takes minimum. A company has to be minimum requirement of 3 years. So for us, we're more flexible. We're 6 months. So we can take companies that just started earning some revenue, got potential to earn, and then just come to us. And everything is done online at the moment. Even some banks, you still need to go to
You're
branches.
right. So your strength is your turnaround time.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So typically, how long does it take for you to address or run a campaign to successfully fund it? What's the shortest time you have taken? What's the longest time you have taken?
Okay, there's two parts. One, if everything goes well, when you apply onto our platform, it would take at least 2 weeks to onboard. Once it's published, it can take from an hour to a week, depending on what industry you're in, because our investors really like high returns, like what you said, where they see high ROIs, low, because we have like a risk level where if it's low risk and high interest, immediately just cleans up in 1 hour. When the risk goes a bit higher, like because we only accept between medium and low risk onto our platform, the medium risk investment notes, that's what we call it, takes longer to fill up, but that would take about 1 week. So from the point of application to the point of getting funded and dispersed would take anywhere between 2 weeks to a month.
So your efficiency is your strength, lah, essentially.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, from the ECF folks as well, right? I think what is the changes in policy or government action that you would like to see? I know recently there was an increase in the limit up to 20 million that was made a big change for you. What are other policy directions that you would like to see in the ECF space to make it more inclusive for everybody? Or what is the pain points that the current guidelines are still not addressing that you would want to see?
Okay, interesting question. I hope
No,
any
because,
a regulator here.
Because you're also talking to me and we are also in charge of the VC roadmap, so we are engaging with Securities Commission. So I'm using this opportunity here to actually get feedback as well.
Yeah, we're engaging with them tomorrow with MOF. Yeah. Anyway, on the budget. Okay, I mean, okay. First and foremost, I think the government has been fully supportive on this. Especially with the Malaysia Co-Investment Fund, which has been, which was introduced in 2019 budget and has been ongoing until today for both ECF and also P2P. So, and if you look at how Securities Commission has actually liberalized the guidelines over the years, because they have actually listened to us, right? The feedback from us, saying that, okay, 5 million is too small, and moving on, they increased it to 10 million and then 20 million, right? And then thirdly, with regards to the share structure. So initially when equity crowdfunding was first introduced, only ordinary share structure was approved, mainly because they felt that it was pref share structure was too sophisticated for the retail investors, yeah. So hence then they liberalized that, and that was approved, I think if I'm not mistaken, early last year or late 2021, okay. So moving on, specifically to ATA Plus, okay, I just want to let everybody know, if you're not aware, as an equity crowdfunding operator, we are actually allowed to do 3 things, yeah. We can actually offer a platform that can facilitate the fundraising between SMEs and the public. Number 2, we can actually work with licensed venture capital companies, yeah, to fundraise from the public. That means you can list a fund, and the fund can actually fundraise, right, from the public, and then of course the secondary trading exchange, right? So specific to the fund, we actually have talked to SC many years back, I think as early as 2016, 2017, to actually allow retail investors to invest in a fund. Because at the moment, only sophisticated investors are allowed, because you see a lot of investors out there, even sophisticated for that matter, right? And we know that a lot of retail investors can invest more than 5,000 ringgit. They just don't know how to actually conduct due diligence on businesses. All right, so to them, you say, I don't know how to do this. Can I actually put it in the fund and then let the fund do its job, right? So, and we've gone to SC 2 to 3 times with different structures. And however, it hasn't been, I think they were more concerned about, protecting the investor. But however, we also are aware that in the US, there has been at least 2 funds, 2 VCs actually, is offering funds whereby retail can participate, right? And I think within certain guidelines. So we are hoping that the SC would relook into this, personally with ATA Plus. Over and above that, I think specific to company structure, so initially it was only Sendirian Berhad companies were allowed. To date, PLT or LLP is now able to fundraise on ECF. Also, unlisted public companies, which is unlisted Berhad. And the reason why they allowed for unlisted Berhad, I believe, because there's a lot of inverted commas, public fundraising from unlisted Berhad companies to the public and offering super attractive dividends, right? So we're, I mean, I think if any one of you are into unlisted Berhad, so be very careful because now, if you do want to do that, do work with the ECF operators, whereby we will ensure that whatever investment memo, that's been submitted to the SC is consistent with the ones, for the crowdfunding campaign. So, I mean, for us, moving on, we would like to, and I think this is something that we've asked SC as well, because subsidiaries of PLCs are not allowed. Having said that, not all subsidiaries of PLCs get funds or financial support from their father and mother, right? Yeah. So that's something I think we would like to see happen. So and I guess ESG is a big one, and I think earlier ESG was being spoken. I think Ash spoke about ESG, and specific to Atta Plus, we are looking at ESG education for SMEs because we see that becoming mainstream in the future. Yeah, and it's very important for SMEs to start very early, to have some understanding of what ESG would mean to them, especially as the business grow. And I think, especially for, I think those expecting to be vendors for the government or even MNCs, they will look at ESG, your ESG policy as a Sdn Bhd.
No doubt. I think sustainability is on everyone's mind right now, even for many institutional investors. So Nisa, is there anything from the point of view of pitching that you would like to see on a policy basis that you think will benefit all the startups and SMEs out there with regards to engaging with your platform?
I think there's only one thing that I would actually want to add to what Elaine has mentioned also. It is the limit for retail investors. Right now, as she's also mentioned, is only 5,000. It's actually really small if you look at it from a totality basis, because most of our investors are actually investing more than that. If they price a block at 2005 and then they want to get maybe two blocks already, you're already at the cap.
What's your average check, if you don't mind, for per investors right now?
Again, it depends. So you can go from easily for about, if they're doing one block, usually the ones that want to nibble their first deal, they will go with just one block, right? Unless they really, really like it, then they will go with a bit higher than that. So if you're talking about one block that could be priced about 2,000 to 2,005 or so. But then there are some retail investors that come in with a check of 15, 20, and then, but they don't necessarily meet that definition of an angel investor yet, which is about 180 gross income. So, they have the money, but SC is limiting, it's supposed to be a soft cap, but I think they're coming down on operators and saying that it's actually a hard cap now.
But SC is amending the definition of sophisticated investors as well to address that right now as we speak. Okay, is there any other things that you want to highlight with regards to policy matter? None. Okay. Marzuki, yourself, anything from a policy standpoint that is hindering Microleap or any other P2P financing platform that we haven't discussed here today?
No. Right now, they have been generally supportive with this. I mean, we are the first to regulate P2P in Malaysia, in ASEAN, and now with digital banks. And I think it's looking positive. Everything's moving forward. Maybe not at a pace that we want, but it's moving there. At least, again, just comparing to how China was when it was unregulated and a lot of people lost money and all that. And even I think Indonesia has suffered also a bit, and finally getting the act together. So we're in the right space right now at the right time. So yes, all okay.
Yes, Elaine. Because we run out of time, but sure.
I think I just want, I guess, and I've spoken to SC about this because I'm also the president of the P2P and ECF association. So I think there's not enough marketing and promotion budget put in by SC to this space. because a lot of people are still not aware. If you look at the total number of investors, right, since we started until today, it is minuscule. Cumulatively, since 2016, the total number in ECF and P2P investors is about 17,000 only. And we have what, 35 million population in Malaysia, and say half of them are like working population, working adults, right? I mean, don't tell me they can't even put in, 1,000 or, So that really needs to be worked on. I mean, issuers, yes, I think the business community is becoming much, much more aware, because businesses are always looking for money, right? But I think the investor community needs to know, right? And especially, I think, with the roadshows and I think more PR, so we talk about PR, right? And this is where I think the media can do much more to feature more success stories. There's a lot of success stories that's not coming out, so that's super important for the industry. Yeah.
I completely agree, right? Yeah,
Now
sure.
you go.
I apologize. Actually, you're right. Thank you for raising that. Another thing that we need to improve on is also to branch out outside of the Klang Valley area. For example, like what we're doing right now in Penang. Thank you so much, Ash, for setting this up. But we need more awareness, like what you said, echoing what Elaine said. Awareness is key. And not only in Klang Valley, everyone's always focused in Klang Valley. We need to move to Penang. We need to move to South, North, Johor, East Malaysia, Sarawak and Sabah, and for me, specifically, because we're focused on microfinancing, we need to get into the rural areas too, and then try get them access to financing from us. So yes, again, I retract what I said earlier. We do need to improve in terms of awareness and marketing. And yes, roadshows is one example. Thank you, Elaine.
Point noted, guys. I think that's all from us now. Thank you very much.